What's happening, guys? Good morning, how are you? Well, in today's lesson, it's not going to be a much longer lesson. It's going to be a very short lesson, but the idea behind it is before we start helping someone to log in, we need to first make sure that our data is actually stored in our database. Yes, despite the efforts that we might have made last time, we know that our information is definitely there in the database, which we have on our local host, and we know that we can push information from our form onto our database. People, as you could see, we actually had such information. Now in today's lesson, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of how the data is going to be stored and how the data is going to be seen. Now, exactly what am I referring to? What we are referring to is before someone logs in, we all know we're going to use a select statement to log in, but before we get to that select statement, we need to make sure that we can actually display this information in the database. So for us to be able to do that, we are going to come back to our text editor, and within this text editor we are going to create a new page. Reason why I'm creating a new page is, yes, I can display on the very same page, but as they say, cleanliness is next to godliness. So we're going to create a new view. Let's call it data.blade.php as the name of the page. Now this new view is going to be obviously information either it's going to come out as an HTML or there's a PHP form. The choice is yours, but it is going to utilize pretty much the same things that we utilized over here, which is pretty much my scripts, because I always want to maintain the same style and order. Number one. Number two, we know that when you're on your index, we are currently utilizing this form, but for us to be able to move from page to page, obviously we create anchor tags. So for argument's sake, let's say this was going to be on the next page. Obviously it now means that we would now need to move the whole div class and so forth, which is fair enough. We take it out, we come into the body, then we paste our login form. Now if we are to save over this on our index page and refresh it, we would realize we no longer have a sign up form. But because we want to make sure that someone will be able to log in and sign up, what can we do? We can create what we call an anchor tag that moves from page to page. Now take a look at this. If we are to come back here on our form, based on whatever you want, you can make your page have an anchor tag at the top or at the bottom. The choice is literally yours, but for me, let me just put it at the top. Create a navigation bar, create an anchor tag, and this anchor tag, I would call it let's say forgot password for starters. Number one. The next anchor tag is going to be for let's say already have an account and stuff like that, so that when someone already has an account, they can easily click on this page or on this link, and when someone already has when someone has forgotten a password, we can put this at the bottom and so forth, but the choice is yours. If we come back and refresh, you'll see that we now have two sort of anchor tags that we have, but it doesn't look so good. So let me just put it let me put a break tag, refresh, it looks something like that. And just for it to look a little bit much more nicer, as we say it, cleanliness, let me just put at the bottom like that. So already have an account should lead you on a separate page. Already forgot password should lead you on a separate page. Now the whole idea behind this is so that we can be able to see how we can navigate from page to page. So we did create this page called data.blade.php, which includes our login page. But on this page, for us to be able to navigate to it, we need to create anchor tags. And unlike HTML, these anchor tags come in form of what you call routes, in which you put here. So we can create a route that, let's just say nav routes as our comment. We can create a route, and this time this route is using a get method because it is not receiving any information. So we can create a route using a get, and this route, let's call it data, or let's just call it log view, like that. And this route is going to be inside, number one, our class, which is the one that we created. So it is going to be inside our class called mains, and within this class, this route is going to be utilizing a function to move to another page. Let's call it log, yeah, like that. So after doing this, it now means that we now need to go into our app, HTTP, into our controller, in our mains controller. And in our mains controller, we are now going to be creating a route, or we're going to be creating a function called log, which is going to utilize this route. And this function should be able to take us to this page called data.blade.php. So we can just create it over here by saying public function. We called it log, and this public function called log is going to return a view of a page that we called data, like that. So meaning that this function here is the one that is going to be responsible for sending us to this page. Now obviously when you come to this page, you need the same concept of being able to forget password or sign up. So what we can do is come back, just grab this information and come back, and let's see, it's inside the div tag. So let's also just put it inside as well. Forgot password, and then this one is don't have an account. Now remember that we've now created a route called what? Log view. Now if we are to come back to our text browser and obviously refresh, then if we are to also check our log.view route, it takes us to this page. So I need to come back and optimize first. Log view, so to our CMD, PHP, artisan, we optimize. That being done, if we come back, reload this, and then check for a route called log view. I hope that's the name we named it. Yes, log view, like this. As you can see, there is our form. Now despite our form not being in the center as what we did, we can still just do it by adding a center tag inside the body. So center that, and then also close the center tag, and then if we come back and refresh, there we go. But this is just us being able to see the routes. Now it now means that since we now want to be able to go and view the pages using our anchor tags, what we now need to do is we now need to add our routes inside our anchors. Remember, our routes are the ones that are being used for our anchor tag. So for the index, if you don't have an account, if you already have an account and you want to go to the page that says log in, it now means that you're going to use this route called what? Log view. So for us to be able to do that, you come back in here, that URL, you add your codes, and then you write it as what? Log underscore view. Now this is to enable you to be able to move from page to page without having what? Any other issues. Alright, now this is only on this page. On the data or data.blade.php, we need a page, or we need a route that allows us to come back from where we are, which is over here, the data blade, back to index blade, which is our sign up form. So we also need a route to come back to. Now if we come back and take a look at our routes, we've got our main route, we've got our sign up form route, we've got our nav route, but then this route is the default route. So chances are we should be able to also create another route which gets, but then this time this route is more of an empty route that brings you back to the same page. Which page is it? It is returning a function to a page, to a function called index, and to a file called what? Index. So what we can do is we can leave it empty, right? And then we specify that this is inside our mains, and this is a class. Within this class we are looking for a function called what? Index. Right, so that we can now utilize this route, or we can create a secondary route. Let's just call it IN, which brings you back to what? To the index page. So when you come over here, you are going to be URL, your function name, which is called what? Index. Now I'm trying to see what mistake I made over here. Oh, just add those, not index but IN, sorry. So our IN route will bring us back to our index.blade, because our IN route is going to be looking for a function called what? Index, which is the same one as this one, meaning that we now have two ways of getting to the same page. For us to test this theory, because we were dealing with routes, it's always best to come back, optimize your new routes, make sure that your routes have been preloaded, come back to our page. Let's say this, if we say 127 8000, which is the default route, but if we also say this /IN, it takes us back again to the very same page. So it means that we now have two routes to the same page, and we should be also able to see our log view index page. Now these pages already have functions within them, so if you don't have a function, if you don't have an account, it should take you to the sign up. If you have an account, it should take you to what? To login. So you are now able to navigate from page to page utilizing the routes. Thank you so much for this lesson. Let's meet in the next lesson, as we are going to be displaying the information in our what? In our database.